Hi, peace and happiness, harmony here with you once again, going over healthy self esteem and what to do, how to achieve it, how to get yourself living this and experiencing healthy self esteem, confidence, unconditional love, better relationships, better experience in your job and employment, and taking yourself to that next level that you've wanted to, no matter how old you are. Self-esteem is something that can be corroded and violated, exploited when we're younger, growing up. If we have a family with an authoritarian parent, be it mother or father, someone who's extremely harsh, critical, judgmental of us, perhaps constantly putting us to work when we're young, we're not able to play because we need to do house chores. We need to look after their emotions. We need to keep them happy. We need to behave in a certain way that isn't natural for us. We're told to shut up. We're slapped. We're hit. We're kicked. We're punched. Um, we're scolded. Sent outside, upstairs. Not allowed to go to the neighbors. Not allowed to go to the party. And creates a sense of, again, low self-esteem or a feeling of shame and humiliation, which is an emotional experience that is registered in the physical body. That once that's set up and continues again and again in the psyche of that individual, it becomes registered in a neurological component in the brain where the neurons continue to receive that negative stimuli, and it creates almost like think about like a groove or a pattern in the person's mind, body, and experience. So they're constantly experiencing that feeling, even when the stimulus or the person is no longer there. In other words, someone who's repeatedly yelled at, kicked, perhaps surrounded by temper tantrums, slamming of doors, yelling harsh and hurting words, that experience, that emotional reaction that is stored within the body in terms of it creates a blueprint or a memory, an emotional log in that person, and then one begins to then define themselves by that experience. And in the family unit, the whole goal, of course, of the mother is to nurture that child and to get them on their feet and healthy and happy, functioning emotionally. Otherwise, there's just set for conflict. And just wanting this channel first to explore, how that bedrock is very rocky in terms of what we call a foundation for you moving out into the world, but what to do to how to heal that and repair that. You absolutely, positively, unequivocally can heal that part of you. It is going to take some work, some knowledge, some understanding of terms. I have my degree in psychology from Indiana University. Went to the university 4 years in studying of psychology. I wanted to be a child psychologist and help children of divorce. And through my career, I now find that I'm wanting to specifically reach out to and help people who have suffered childhood abuse, specifically emotional abuse, whether it's from a mother or father, but share with you some of the tools, resources, and tips that I've learned along my journey so you can help maybe incorporate these in your life so you can free yourself from those habits or grooves that are set up within your body, your mind, and your spirit, so you can be free of those, liberate yourself. First thing I want to discuss is understanding that the abuse that was instilled upon you was not your fault. Children oftentimes have a an uncanny ability to blame themselves for any sort of unhappiness or dysfunction that's going on in the household. Especially maybe if you're the oldest, you might take on in a certain type of authority. If you're the middle child, you might be the peacemaker. If you're the baby, you just might tune it out. But if you tune it out, it could be still lurking somewhere there, under the surface. Um, and in terms of absorbing all that sort of toxicity and negativity, and emotionally, it sets up an emotional channel in your body to constantly feel in a fight or flight, or that fear situation. Think of it, it's been also referred to as the Stockholm Syndrome, where it's compared to in Nazi Germany, in the concentration camps, where the people were so physically and emotionally abused, tortured, that they had felt into such a suffered such helplessness, that they then began to kind of relate to their captor as almost, like their authority. In other words, that they had resigned to them, and that can oftentimes happen in the family, where you so want to rid yourself of that pain or that experience. You feel that it's all your fault, you've internalized it, so you go and you want to continue to make your family happy, and then that can carries over to making other people happy, and in terms of a life direction or identity even. And what we often find as adults is that that is very hard to sustain. It's a very unsustainable sort of mindset and behavior, because it's not fully utilizing perhaps that person's talents or gifts or their strengths that they have within them as a natural innate being, that maybe had to be repressed or ignored, or discredited when they were younger. So it's very important for you to, as I mentioned in the first video, you have to separate yourself from that and realize that that experience that you went through was just one sort of experience on the journey. In other words, now it is okay and safe to move on and to get some bearings and develop some new feelings and new experiences in life, without falling back into that same repetitive pattern. Because otherwise, what we find happening is that if one does not learn new tools or behaviors, one tends to stay in the cycle of that low self-esteem, and it's manifested in terms of substance abuse disorders, eating disorders, relationship issues, divorce, promiscuity, falling in with the wrong crowd, underemployment, just general dissatisfaction, malaise in life, boredom, not really becoming the person that they're meant to be, and constantly feeling like they're held on to the past. So, number one is realizing that you are not that experience. That was something that you went through as a child, and is also to not idealize your parents. They were who they were. They did the best that they could, intentional or not. It's something that occurred, and now as a grown individual and person, you need to see yourself for the beautiful whole individual emotional of spectrum that you have, including happiness, love, joy, bliss, enlightenment, satisfaction with your talents and skills and abilities, whether they're acknowledged by the family or not. So one of the first exercises I would like to give to you is to think about 5 things right now that you love to do that make you happy. It doesn't have to be something that costs money. It doesn't have to be anything you do for anybody else. But what are 5 things that you do for yourself that you truly enjoy doing, that you admire, maybe that you admire in others? There's people who you admire their talents and skills, and you would like to be like them. And you know somewhere deep within you that you have perhaps those abilities, but you're too scared, you're too afraid, you're too hindered by low self-esteem to experience those sort of strengths in your life. So I want you to write those down, and I want you to try to take a couple of those from the list and go ahead and give those a try. Go ahead and pursue those for yourself, and see what you can start to do now to generate some sort of happiness and, again, a feeling of satisfaction, happiness, and wholeness in your life, that is not based on what your parents think for you, want for you, or maybe that they haven't acknowledged, but something that's personal and private to you. It's your choice. Go ahead and take something from that list and do something new. I think you'll find it very refreshing, and once you do one, move on to the next until you've completed all 5. For example, maybe you wanted to paint, maybe you wanted to start going for a walk, maybe you wanted to start writing, maybe you wanted to start a side business, something that you've always wanted to do but were too afraid. Begin 1 or 2 of those and fulfill them. Start with something simple, and see that you indeed can fulfill your own personal goals, and those will start giving you the self-esteem that you need, and that joy and that bliss, and it will start connecting you to your truer and your higher self. That is the goal. Here it is, peace and harmony. Wishing you all the best. Love you.